Well, Happy New Year and welcome back, guys. So this is for week 19, Monday, January the 4th. This first problem reads, the fifth grade has 102 students. Each student has 39 erasers. How many erasers do the students have altogether? So if you're not really sure what to do, you can always think of it. What if one person had 39 erasers? Then what if two? What if three? But you obviously are going to want to do this with multiplication. So I've already set this up. So let's go ahead and don't forget you can circle to turtleneck that. 9 times 2, which is the number in the back position, and you're going to move, it looks like the opposite way, but 9 times 2 is 18, and we're going to regroup. 9 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 9 times 1 is 9, because we just multiplied 102 times 9. Now the next time around, right here, we're going to put a placeholder of a 0, and the reason why we do that is because really the value of this 3 is 30. Because when we multiply, that's what we're really multiplying, 102 times 30. So you just put a 0 as a placeholder there. All right, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 0 is 0. And then 3 times 1 is 3. It's not that hard to complete this math. And then we'll go ahead and add down. So how many erasers did they have altogether? 3,978. Now what we can do is we can look at that to see if our answer was reasonable. Because what you could do is you could estimate this one to the nearest 100 is 100. This one to the nearest 10 would be 40. And you could just put your zeros all together at the back. 4 times 1 is 4. And 4,000 is definitely close to 3,978. So estimation helps us to see if our answer is reasonable. Great. All right, let's move on to the next one. It has 2/6 of the students in class are running in a 5K. 2/3 of the students running are also participating, ing, in the triathlon in May. So 2/3 of the students running, 2/3, let's just write what it says. 2/3 of 2/6. Okay, so we're going back and we're looking at those important numbers. What fraction of the students running are in the triathlon? Okay, so 2/3 of that. 2/3 times 2/6. And then we just, means to multiply. And we go across and we end up with 4. And 3 times 6 is 18. And sometimes your answer will show up. Sometimes they will take it and they'll simplify it. 4 and 18 are both divisible by 2's. So you're going to end up 4 divided by 2 is 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So 2/9 of the students are running in the triathlon. Okay, let's move this on down. There were 6 large cookies at the party. Lindsay's family ate 1 5/8 cookies. Caitlin's family ate 2 2/6 cookies. What is the closest estimate of how much cookie was left? So basically, you're going to be taking 1 5/8, and then another family ate 2 2/6. Now this is going to be an estimate. So then that's what they've eaten. But we're going to have to round those. But what are we going to take that away from? The 6 large cookies. So if we go ahead and we get this in our mind before we start the plan, it just makes it so much easier. So 1 5/8 cookies, you could say that's more like 1 1/2 possibly, if you wanted to do it that way. You could always think of this one as 2 1/3 because simplified. So let's look at that, 2 1/3. And then you could do this one and you could say 1 5/8. is close to 1.5. All right. And then 1/3, I'd probably just put this up and say that's like 1 by itself. And so that's about 1. And then the others would be 4 added, okay, because 1 plus 2 is 3. And then adding this together, that would make another one, so that would be 4. So then now we know it's 6 minus 4, which is about 2. All right. So let's move on to the next one. The next one is dealing with braces and brackets. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can work this one right there on the paper. There's a lot of fancy drawing on this, isn't it? Well, because you know, you look at the braces because they're groupings, and then once you look inside the brace, and you look inside the bracket, and then you look inside the what? The parentheses. Now you're going to want to put your down arrow right on the outside of that, because you've just done 2 plus 1, which is 3. You have not used the bracket, you have not used the brace, or the plus 10. You've got to bring down your multiplication, your 4, your bracket, your 36, and your brace. Now, what are you going to do next? Look at the grouping. Look inside the brace. What's inside of the brace? Inside the braces, you'll find the bracket. So that's first. So then this time, what I'm going to want to do is let all of that that's inside of there just kind of melt down there. So that will be 12. All right, and now you haven't finished with the brace. Bring all of that down. I just find it's just so much easier to do one step at a time. That's how you make the least amount of mistakes. So what do we have now? Okay, I ran out of room. I'm gonna keep writing though on my paper. So then we have, you look inside the brace, you're doing 36 divided by 12. Finally, the brace is gonna go melt down this. It's how many 12s are in 36? That's 3. And then bring down the plus 10. What's my final step? 3 plus 10 is how much? Very good, 13. So when you are doing the order of operations here, you look, notice how we're always making it work down to a point when you finish. All right, so if you need to, you can always stop this recording and go back and work it and then check your work. It's not a bad way to do it. So our final answer for that problem though is 13. Okay, so now we're gonna look at this next problem that we have right here, using the same that we just did a few minutes ago. We'll slide it up so we're only focused on that one problem. So let's look now again, we're gonna look at the braces. What do we see? Inside of the braces, we see the brackets. What's inside of the brackets? The parentheses. That's what we do first. So we're gonna put it right around it, that's 6. Now you need to put your bracket, your brace, your times comes down, your other 3, your bracket, then your brace, and then a 4. Now what do? We look inside of the brace, we look inside of the brackets. We can go ahead, and since this is all multiplying, we can go ahead and work all of that at one time. So that's 9. Go ahead and keep working times 6, and all of it's coming down. 9 times 6 is what? 54. So I have just used everything. All right, I'm going to close up. I'm going to put the brace, and then the 4. So we have this now as being 60. And what position is this? Do we know? Do you know? It's the same as it's a grouping property. So whatever's on the outside means you're going to multiply it what's in the inside. So 4 times 6 is 24. And then 4 times 0 is 0. So my final answer for that problem is 240. All right, so we have one left right here, and it says how many 16-ounce, we've done one similar to this before. How many, let's try that again. I knocked it. How many 16-ounce bottles would be needed to hold the same total amount of water as 56 bottles that each hold. So first of all, we have to take 56 and multiply that times 20 to get your ounces. They need to be grouped together. And then we have to divide it by 16 to see how many 16s would go into. Again, we have our plan. Does it mean I'm going to be able to work it out just like here? I'm going to need to stack this. So I'm just going to come down below for fun. And let's work out the multiplication down at the bottom. 0 times 6 is 0. 0 times 5 is 0. Don't forget your placeholder. 2 times 6 is 12. And regroup. So we have 1,120. Now we're going to divide that by 16. So our dividend is always our first. That's the one that we drop inside of this house. Okay, and here you could do your multiples of 16, or you could just kind of multiply 16 sometimes a single digit number, but we are going to be multiplying it into 100, or dividing 16 into 112. So I'm just going to find me a little spot down here and multiply 16 times 8. Let's see how close we get to 112 without going over. 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 1 plus 4 is, so 128. So 16 times 8 is too big. So what would happen if I did 16 times 7? It's 42. 7 times 1 plus 4 is 11. So the 7 works exactly with that. But what do we know about this 0? Once we begin writing the answer above the dividend, the first digit to our quotient you must have a digit over the top of the next one, even if 16 will not divide into 0 times. But my final answer there was I need 70. Okay, I need 70 of those bottles. I need 70 16-ounce bottles. All right, very good.